Dear Judge Lyman, as counsel for Wayfair Studios LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, It Ends With Us Movie LLC, Melissa Nathan,
Blake Lively, Hollywood's Golden Girl, now at war with Saturday Night Live? That's what the whispers are saying. And if there's even a shred of truth to it, we might be looking at one of the most shocking celebrity lawsuits in years. Allegedly, Lively is taking legal action against SNL for a jaw-dropping $80 million after an on-air moment left her feeling completely humiliated. And we're not just talking about a cringeworthy skit. This is something that reportedly went way beyond the usual comedy roast. People close to the situation are saying Blake was blindsided by what happened that night, left red-faced in front of millions watching live. And when you factor in the power dynamics at play, an A-list actress, a legendary sketch show.
He and 9 other plaintiffs, including his publicists, have brought a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, essentially alleging them of libel and false light invasion of privacy.
And a possible behind-the-scenes feud. It starts to look a whole lot messy, eh? But there's more, because this isn't just about Blake. Ryan Reynolds, her husband and Hollywood's favorite jokester, is now tangled in the drama. And let's not forget Justin Baldoni, an actor whose name keeps coming up in connection to all of this. So what really happened that night? Is this just another case of a celebrity overreacting, or did SNL actually cross the line? Let's get into it. The moment that supposedly set everything off happened during Weekend Update, SNL's signature news parody segment. Colin Jost, always quick with the dry humor, made what seemed like an offhand remark about Justin Baldoni wanting to work with Blake Lively again. On the surface, it didn't seem like much, just another celebrity name drop in a sea of jokes. But something about it felt off. The energy in the room shifted. People in the audience picked up on it immediately.
asking for the gag order and explaining how he's talking too much. He's threatening to post stuff on public sites. So what I think is,
That strange, uncomfortable laughter. The kind that bubbles up when a joke lands a little too close to reality. Because for those paying attention, it wasn't just about Baldoni wanting to collaborate with Lively. It was allegedly a not-so-subtle jab at something much bigger. Whispers had already been circulating about a major lawsuit involving Blake and Ryan, supposedly worth hundreds of millions. And now here was Jost, on live television, cracking a joke that some say was laced with a deeper meaning. Was it just an innocent comment? Or was SNL deliberately stirring the pot? Because if there's one thing Hollywood insiders know, it's that nothing on live TV happens by accident. And then came the moment no one saw coming. Ryan Reynolds stepping onto the SNL stage unannounced. A surprise cameo? Sure, but was it really just for fun? Or was something bubbling beneath the surface? As soon as he walked in, the energy shifted again.
This text from Blake Lively is insane. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play.
Colin Jost, keeping it casual, threw out a simple, "Hey Ryan, how's it going?" A harmless question on paper. But Reynolds' response, that's where things got interesting. Instead of his usual effortless charm, people noticed something different. A hesitation, a flicker of tension. His answer, while played off as a joke, felt oddly off, like he was holding something back. And with Colin's earlier remarks still hanging in the air, the speculation exploded. Was this just an awkward exchange? Or was there something deeper going on? Because for a couple known for their rock-solid bond and playful public persona, the cracks were starting to show. And just when it seemed like this was just a messy SNL moment gone wrong, fans started connecting the dots. Because here's where things get really interesting. Colin Jost isn't just some random comedian making an offhand remark. He's married to Scarlett Johansson. And who was she once married to? None other than Ryan Reynolds. Now, was Jost's joke just a coincidence? Or was there something more behind it? Internet sleuths wasted no time digging into the history. Scarlett and Ryan were married from 2008 to 2011. A relationship that...
Well, Baldoni looks like, what's the word? He's got like a... You remember going to school with that kid that always like raised his hand real quick in school.
By Hollywood standards, is practically ancient history. But as we all know, old wounds don't always stay buried. And with Jost taking what some perceived as a not-so-subtle jab at Blake and Ryan on live television, people couldn't help but wonder, was this personal? Because let's be real, Hollywood is a small town and grudges, they last. Blake wasted no time taking control of the narrative. Within days of the SNL incident, headlines exploded with reports of an $80 million lawsuit, a number so staggering, it was impossible to ignore. But this wasn't just about money. This was about reputation. And if there's one thing Blake Lively knows, it's how to protect her image. To handle the fallout, she brought in the big guns, Nick Shapiro. If that name sounds familiar, it should. This isn't just some random PR rep.
She was trying to sell booze while talking about domestic violence. Justin says the war between himself and Blake really started in May 2023 when they started shooting the movie.
Shapiro is a crisis management expert with rumored ties to intelligence circles. The kind of guy you call when things really hit the fan. And hiring him, that sent a clear message. Blake wasn't playing around. Almost immediately, the media began shifting in her favor. Articles flooded in, painting her as the wrong party. An A-list actress blindsided and humiliated on live television. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about whether SNL had actually crossed a line. It was about Blake taking a stand, and with her legal team working overtime to control the story, it started looking like she had the upper hand in court before the battle had even begun. But here's where things start to unravel. Because while the media was busy pushing the Blake wins narrative, the actual legal situation wasn't as airtight as it seemed. Sources close to the case started hinting that the lawsuit wasn't the slam dunk her team wanted everyone to believe. In fact, behind the scenes, things weren't going quite as planned. Reports surfaced that the judge wasn't fully on board with her claims. Some of her demands were either scaled back or outright rejected, directly contradicting the headlines making the rounds. And that raised an interesting question. If Blake's case was so strong, why the need for such extreme PR tactics?
Justin says that Blake was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story because she wasn't doing well on the promo tour for the movie. It was very tone-deaf. Her hair care line wasn't doing well.
Observers started to wonder if this was less about justice and more about optics. Because at the end of the day, Hollywood lawsuits aren't just fought in court, they're fought in the press. And when you have the right people spinning the story in your favor, the truth can get a little blurry. And just when Blake thought she had the upper hand, something from Ryan's past came back to haunt them both. Because while she was pushing a legal battle over being humiliated on live TV, a clip resurfaced that put her own household under scrutiny. The video? An old interview where Ryan joked about staring at a woman breastfeeding. At the time, it was brushed off as typical Reynolds humor. Sarcastic, a little edgy, but nothing too scandalous. But now, with Blake positioning herself as a victim of discomfort and embarrassment, people started connecting the dots. If she was calling out SNL for making her uncomfortable, how was Ryan getting a free pass for a similar situation? The hypocrisy accusations hit fast. It made them look like they were applying different standards, one for themselves and another for everyone else. And in Hollywood, where public perception is everything, that kind of inconsistency can be dangerous. Because once people start questioning your authenticity, the whole narrative starts to fall apart. And just like that, the Hollywood machine started doing what it does best, distancing itself from the drama.
And suddenly there were these headlines and people were just very upset with Blake Lively and started stringing together her pattern, okay? So her reputation, you could say last year, completely tanked.
At first, it seemed like Blake had the industry on her side. But as the lawsuit dragged on and the backlash grew, the silence from her peers became louder than any statement of support. Reporters started pressing her co-stars for comments, and the responses were telling. Instead of the usual rehearsed praise, there was hesitation, vagueness. One actor from her upcoming film was asked directly about the lawsuit, and all they could muster was, "It's complicated." No defense, no support, just enough words to say something without actually saying anything at all. And in Hollywood, that's never a good sign. Behind the scenes, the fallout was even worse. Some of Blake's brand deals reportedly being reevaluated. Companies don't like controversy, especially the kind that comes with an $80 million lawsuit and public accusations of hypocrisy. And with whispers of endorsements on shaky ground, it became clear this was no longer just a battle against SNL. It was a battle to keep her career intact.
In Blake's first amended complaint, Blake changed what she alleges about what happened while filming the slow dance scene, now that the footage has been released for everyone to see.
And if the PR nightmare wasn't bad enough, now the real consequences were starting to hit. Hollywood was rethinking its investment in both Blake and Ryan. When a scandal gets too messy, studios don't wait for the dust to settle. They start making moves. And that's exactly what seemed to be happening here. Rumors started circulating that Project Blake was previously attached to were now up in the air. Some scripts she had lined up, allegedly being reconsidered for recasting. And while nothing was being said outright, no public statements, no official departures, the industry's silence was speaking volumes. And it wasn't just Blake. Ryan wasn't untouchable either. Despite his massive popularity, insiders started whispering that studios were quietly assessing whether he was still the safest bet for upcoming projects. Because in Hollywood, image is everything. And if a scandal gets big enough, no A-lister is immune. Ryan Reynolds, the king of quick wit and self-deprecating humor, suddenly found his usual charm falling flat. What had once been his greatest asset, his ability to make people laugh, even in the toughest situations, now seemed like a defense mechanism. Instead of coming off as endearing, his humor started to look like an attempt to deflect from something much more serious.
But it looks very similar. That's undeniable.
Now, the fan theory is that Ryan Reynolds saw that scene in It Ends With Us, and it was a trigger.
As the lawsuit and its fallout continued to dominate headlines, Ryan's usual comedic PR tactics backfired. His light-hearted approach, once a winning formula, began to feel out of touch with the gravity of the situation. Social media, it didn't hold back. Fans who had once adored him for his quick one-liners and funny social media posts began questioning his sincerity. Were his jokes covering up real problems? Was he pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't? The backlash was swift. Reynolds' carefully cultivated public persona started to crack as people grew frustrated with the lack of transparency. And in an era where authenticity is everything, the kind of disconnect between what fans expect and what they see can be a killer. In the end, this controversy isn't just about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It's become a fascinating case study in Hollywood's dark arts of PR, power struggles, and media manipulation. Because while the lawsuit itself might have started as a way for Blake to seek justice, it quickly evolved into something much larger. An all-out battle for public perception. The real story here isn't just the legal drama, it's how the media and public were played. Blake's decision to bring in intelligence-linked PR tactics was bold, but it seemed excessive for what started as a celebrity dispute. And Ryan's usual comedic charm? It didn't work this time. In fact, it might have only fueled further skepticism about what was really going on behind closed doors. Legal experts have been quick to point out that PR tactics can only do so much. Without strong evidence, no amount of media manipulation will save you in court. And in the end, both Blake and Ryan may have overplayed their hands, with the fallout threatening both their personal lives and their professional futures. So what do you think? Did Blake and Ryan miscalculate this entire situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe for more Insider Hollywood news.